Hi students. In today's class, we are going to discuss about what is DJANGO, and then we'll see what are the features of DJANGO, and also we'll see what are the client-side technologies, server-side technologies. All these we'll discuss. So this DJANGO course is for 45 to 50 days, and in all these classes, like we'll be discussing about many chapters. Like first we'll focus on creating virtual environment, then creating a project, then application, creating application means website, creating multiple applications in the project, and creating, working with application level URLs, working with the templates. And then we are going to discuss about how to use HTML in Django, then using CSS, jQuery, Bootstrap, DOM, all these in how to use all these in Django. Okay, and then we are going to discuss about working with models, then Django forms, model forms, and then we'll discuss about advanced model features, advanced template features, then session management, security, function-based views, class-based views, ORM, object relational mapping, middleware services, web hosting. Web hosting also we'll see. Like we'll see how to publish the website in internet and accessing through domain name. All these we are going to discuss. And then we'll discuss about project also. So Django with project, this is. So project means it will be like for 1 week or 10 days. So project and the course, like I'll try to complete within 2 months. Like what all concepts you learn, all you are going to implement in the Django classes you are going to implement. And here every day I will send you the, here you can see the project. Like other projects are also there. Like for students, I'm going to explain this. Other Django projects are there, like which are on machine learning and which are on commercial websites. Commercial websites are there. Like we can discuss those, but this is according to the concepts what we discuss. Like here you can see the code. So folders are there, and here you can see the coding. So templates, and then other files are there, HTML files. Other files are, yeah, we'll discuss REST API also. We'll see 1 or 2 examples using REST API in Django projects. So we'll discuss. And here when we are working with like Django here, like every day I will send you the notes, day-wise notes, and I will send you the recorded videos also. Here you can see the material. Material you can see here. And here you can see day-wise notes is there here. Like for all the chapters, it is there. So here, if you see this example, here you can see, like here it will show where to write the code, like what code to write. Then here you can see files, all these are there. So it will be very clear for the student to understand. And here you can see, here in the beginning, this is my notes, okay? And here you can see what files to create, where to write the code. All these you can see here. So from beginning to end, even for web hosting also, you can see the notes here. Steps are there. So this will show how to do hosting, how to put a site in internet with notes. It is there. Here you can see. So every day I will send you the notes, recorded video. Like by evening, I will send you the notes. After the class is over, within 3-4 hours or within 2-3 hours, every day I will send. Okay, like videos will not be in pending. Every day after the class is over, I'm going to send videos to your mail IDs. And now we'll see about DJANGO. Like we'll see the basics. Not lifetime. It will be like for 1-2 years. Like as long as that ID is there, videos will be there. Okay. So it will be, it can be there for 2-3 years like that. It can be there. I will not delete, no. I will not delete the videos. I will not delete the ID. Every time I'll create a new ID and I will send the videos to the students. ID deletion I will not do. Videos also I'll not delete. So here when we say about DJANGO, so DJANGO is a framework, web framework used for developing websites. So whenever you want to develop websites, then DJANGO web framework is used. So to learn DJANGO, you have to learn Python first. So at least core Python, because DJANGO framework is completely developed in Python. It has Python files or modules. Okay, so DJANGO framework, I'm saying framework contains Python files or modules. By using them, you can develop dynamic websites or dynamic web pages, or dynamic websites can be developed. And here in DJANGO, like students should know Python. Without Python, they cannot join for DJANGO. And with Python, they have to know UI technologies also, like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, then Bootstrap, then like DOM, all these. Okay, so if you know little, if students knows a little bit of HTML and little bit of CSS, you can follow the classes. Okay, if a student don't know UI technologies or web technologies, I will give you the notes. Like I'm having my notes, I will give you the notes, or else I will give you the UI classes videos also, so that you can learn of your own by watching the videos, and you can continue the classes. Okay, so about UI technologies, I will give you the notes material you can follow. Okay, and here before telling about the DJANGO features, history, all these, here we'll see the version here. So DJANGO latest version is 3.1.4 is the latest version. So here official site is djangoproject.com is there. djangoproject.com. So here you can see download, and here you can see the version here. So 3.1.4 is the latest version we can see here. So what all examples I'll give from the beginning to end, all the examples will be in latest version of DJANGO. And Python also I'm using a latest version only, because when we are working with DJANGO, we have to use Python, because DJANGO framework, it is completely developed in Python. So Python also I'm using a latest version only. I'm using 3.9.1 I'm using. So python.org. So here you can see 3.9.1 is there. This is the latest version. So 3.9.1 all works in Windows 10. Okay. So if you are using Windows 7, Windows 7 old versions means it won't work. So don't go for Windows 7 for Python and DJANGO, because I'll be giving examples. I'm using latest versions only. So in Windows 7, it won't work. So Windows 10, you can use it. We can work with the Windows 10. So here I'm using Windows 10 Pro, I'm using Windows 10 Professional, I'm using. So in that it can execute. It won't have any issues related to databases also. And here, when we are working with websites, now we'll discuss about some basics. Then after that, I'll continue with DJANGO history, features, like all these we are going to discuss. So when we are working with here websites. When we are working with websites in internet nearly 6 crores websites, 6 crores websites are there. Every day, 1,000 sites are hosted or published in internet. And when we are working with websites here we'll say client system and server system will say. Okay, client system and server system. So client system has a browser and the server system has a web server. So browser is an application. Like a notepad is an application. So browser is an application used to open the websites. Like we can use Google Chrome or Internet Explorer or Mozilla, any other browsers, we can use it. And here web server is there. Web server is a software or an application used to store and to run websites. So in internet, in World Wide Web, nearly like thousands of servers are there, like server systems we can say. And in every server system, web server will be there. Through web server, the websites will execute. Like web server may have 50 or 100, 200 websites can be there, and they are executed with web server. So browser is an application, web server is an application. And here, like when you are working with Java websites, for Java websites, Tomcat web server is used. Tomcat web server is used. And for .NET websites, like ASP.NET, ASP.NET MVC websites, IIS web server is used, Internet Information Services. And for PHP websites, then Apache web server is used, Apache web server. Okay. And for DJANGO websites, DJANGO development server is there. Okay. DJANGO development server is used for running DJANGO sites. Okay. And here, while working with websites, website contains two types of pages. Like we can say static pages and dynamic pages are there. So static pages and dynamic pages. So when we say about the static pages, like HTML pages are called as static pages. They are controlled or managed by the browser. So browser can manage HTML pages or static pages. So managing means we can move from one page to another page in the websites, like when they are static pages. So when we use static pages or HTML pages is whenever you want to display the same information to all the users accessing the website, like news or advertisements or images, like any content which is common to everybody, then static pages can be used. Like for example, a news portal will be there, news related sites. News related sites, what we'll do, we are going to give the we'll be reading the contents and we'll close it. Okay, their login registration not required. In some websites, login registration is not required. So we'll read the content and we'll close it. Okay, so in that case, static pages can be used. So static pages examples are home page or index page, then about us, then contact us, sitemap, all these will be there. So home page or index page means first page. Then about us means that page will show about the business, about the company. And contact us means they'll give the contact details of the company or business. Sitemap page means it will show complete information about the site, like what all pages are there, what information is available, all these will get. Okay, and here HTML pages or HTML files are client side, so they are executed in the browser. So browser can understand HTML. Okay, so along with HTML files or HTML pages, we can use other client side technologies or other client side frameworks are used. Like we can use JavaScript, then CSS. Okay, so here cascading style sheet, and the next one is jQuery, and next is we can use jQuery is there, and we'll use a Bootstrap, and then DOM, so document object model, and next one is jQuery, And the next one is sorry, jQuery is already given, Angular, and next one is React.js. Like all these are client side only, along with HTML files, along with HTML pages or files. We can use all these client side technologies or client side frameworks. We can use it. So Angular will works as both client side and server side. Like we can say front end and back end. Client side and server side will say. So when we say about Angular, like there we can say Angular framework and we can see Node.js also. When we are using Angular framework, it is client side. When we are using Node.js, it is server side. Okay. So in Angular, we are going to use their TypeScript is used. So TypeScript means it is the superscript of JavaScript. Like JavaScript has limitations. To overcome those drawbacks, we can use TypeScript is used. It is like modern programming languages. Like what all features we see in JavaScript, whatever features we see in Java, we can see the same features in TypeScript. And React.js is also client side. It is used for reusability. So whenever you want to use the same code again and again for several times for reusing UI components, then React.js is used. And here you can see dynamic pages are there. So here we can see dynamic pages. So here when we say about dynamic pages, so these are controlled or managed by the web server in the server system. Okay. So dynamic pages are controlled or managed by the web server in the server system. And while working with dynamic pages, dynamic pages will show different information from user to user. So it will not show same information to all the users. So it will show different information from user to user. It will show different information. Okay, because it takes data, brings the data from the server, and it will show to the user. Okay, so if you want to create when we say about examples of dynamic pages like login page, registration page, change password, password recovery, all these are the examples of dynamic pages. Okay, why? Because like when we give login details, it will go to server. Server will check whether they are already there. Then we'll get the response. And the registration also same. Details are sent to server. Server will give the response. Like this, it will works. Like for example, in when you work with Gmail, in Gmail will get a single page application. Like after login is successful, it will show that page here. So here I'm giving ID. So here when I give username and password, it is giving the page here. Okay. So this page will call it as it is called as a single page application. So single page application means we can do everything all in one location. No need to jump from one website, one web page to another web page. No need to move from one page to another page in the website. All our work can be done in single page. Like here you can see in the left side, you can see quick launch bar for quick navigation. And here you can see compose, then searching here, searching for mails. Then you can see three tabs here, primary, social, net promotions. And whatever mails I'll receive, all I can see here. Okay. So in Google Mail, we can see nearly 32 crores accounts. If I connect to Gmail with my account, Google server will show only my mails. Okay. It will not show other users' mails. So whatever data you are seeing now, like emails, all these are dynamic data only, because whatever is related to my account, it is showing here. So this is a dynamic page because it is giving a user specific information to the user. Okay. So to create a dynamic pages, we have to use server side technologies or server side code, or we have to use backend technologies. Like we are saying no here, client side, server side. Okay, front end, back end. Okay, so back end technologies we have to use. Back end means server side. Like here we'll use PHP, then JSP servlets. JSP servlets related to Java. And next is here I'll use ASP.NET, ASP.NET MVC. Okay, ASP.NET means here JSP means Java server pages, ASP means active server pages, ASP.NET MVC, model view controller, then DJANGO, Ruby on Rails, and next one is Node.js. All these are there. Like for creating dynamic web pages, dynamic sites, many server side technologies are there. Many are there. Okay, then students may have doubt. Then why we should use only DJANGO? What specialty is there in DJANGO? What special features are there in DJANGO? Like many features are there. We'll discuss like how it is different from other server side technologies. So with Python, we can use many frameworks we can use for creating websites. Like we can use a Flask, then we can use a bottle, pyramid, then pylons, web2py, turbo gears. Many are there, but Django is popular, so that's why your students are learning Django here. So it is for developing dynamic websites. So the difference between static pages and dynamic pages, like a difference, I will tell only 1-2 differences here. Like when you work with websites in internet, websites will run with HTTP or HTTPS protocol. HTTP or HTTPS. So in a network, many protocols are used, like HTTP or HTTPS, then FTP, UDP, TCP, all these are there. Many are there. So HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. S means secured. Okay. And we can see FTP, File Transfer Protocol, user TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, user datagram protocol, many are there. So when you take HTTP, it is 40 years old. So from since 40 years, we are using HTTP for developing websites. We are using this. Okay. So here when you open any site, like for example, here if I open Durgasoft site here. So here if I open Durgasoft site, it is running with HTTP. Here you can see. And here you can see it is showing as not secure, it is giving. Like whatever information we transfer, that information may not be sent safely. Okay. And here, if I use Gmail, here you can see. So Gmail is running with what? HTTPS. Here you can see it is showing like lock symbol, like data is secured or safe. Okay. So here, when we are working with HTTP protocol, then we have to implement the security manually in the code. In the website, we have to write the code. Okay. By default, Django website also will run with HTTP protocol. Then in that case, we have to write a program. We have to write code to secure the data and to give security for the website. We have to write the code. Okay. And HTTPS means by default security will work. Okay. So where we are hosting the site, where we are publishing the site, we can ask internet service providers for run our website with HTTPS protocol. Then they can do that. They will do it for our website. Okay. And here when you work with static pages and when we are working with dynamic, before that, here HTTP or HTTPS are called stateless protocols. So they cannot remember the values given in the pages in the website, and they cannot remember the pages opened in the website. So what happened is when you submit the page, any page in any website, when you submit the page and the data is submitted to the server. The page and the data is submitted to the server. Once if the page is submitted, once if the page data is submitted to the server, then we cannot see the values in browser. We cannot see the information. We cannot reuse it. Okay. Like we cannot reuse it for in other pages in the website. We cannot reuse the values when we log in for the next time in the same site. Like that, the possibility is not there. Okay, so many times reusability will be there, because username given in login page, we have to use it in other pages, or product selected in shopping cart site, e-commerce website, we have to use it in other pages, or whatever products selected by the user, we have to place them in one location. Then in that case, the data should be maintained. The data should be maintained. But HTTP or HTTPS protocol, they cannot maintain the values given in the pages in the website, and they cannot remember the pages opened in the website. These HTTP or HTTPS cannot maintain history. Okay, so but sometimes maintaining history is important, because we have to maintain the values, web pages values, like username or shopping details, or username and password login details. We have to store in browser. And we have to use them. All these should be done. But what's happening here, when you submit the page, like page is being submitted and values are cleared, again the reusability is not there. So that's why here, when we say about this HTTP or HTTPS protocol, they are communication protocols used to transfer the data in network. Only to transfer data we are using, but they cannot remember, they cannot maintain the data. Okay, so using HTML pages and using dynamic pages, we can maintain the data. Data can be maintained. Okay, so using HTML pages, we can use web storage. In HTML5 it is there, web storage, and in JavaScript cookies are there. By using them, we can maintain the data. So if you maintain the data in HTML pages or static pages, the data is not safe. It is not safe. And the data, it is a less amount of data we can store. Accessing the data is slow with HTML or static pages. Okay, so when you store the data in dynamic pages means it will store data in the server, not in browser. If the data is stored in the server, like any data, then the data we can secure. The data is stored safely in the server, and large amount of data you can store, and accessing the data is also fast. So whenever you are working with confidential data or sensitive data, like passwords, account number, debit card number, credit card number, PIN number, when you work with all this sensitive data, then it is better to save the data in server, and we can use in other pages in the website, and we can use the information in across pages in the website, and we can use that information when we log into the website for the second time. All these can be done. And with the dynamic pages, another use is it can interact with the database, like using server side code or using server side technologies, or using dynamic backend technologies. The web pages can be integrated with the database. Like we can send data to the database, accessing the data. So we can use any database, SQLite or MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, any other databases we can use to communicate with the database, to communicate with the server. Then dynamic pages are used. So here, when you are working with the DJANGO works with dynamic pages or dynamic websites. Okay, so while working with DJANGO, we are going to create both static pages and dynamic pages can be created. Static and dynamic pages we can create. See, in other server side technologies, like when you take PHP or Java or .NET, okay, like for HTML pages, extension will be HTML, and for server side technologies, for dynamic pages like .php, like .asp, okay, .aspx, then .jsp, like this it will be. Okay, so in other server side technologies, when you are developing the website, we can see HTML pages and we can see dynamic pages, static and dynamic pages. which contains server-side coding. Okay, but in a DJANGO, we are going to create only HTML files. So HTML files will work as client-side code and also server-side code. Okay, so here will not have like another extension, like some other extension you will not get here, like what we see in other server-side technologies. Okay, so if you want to create static pages or HTML pages in DJANGO, that extension will be .html only. Okay, there we can write HTML tags, then CSS, jQuery, then Bootstrap. All these we can write, like all client-side code we can write. So if I want to create dynamic pages, if I want to access the data from the server, if you want to access the data from the database, if you want to send the data to server, or if you want to send the data to database tables or to some other files, then here in HTML file we have to use the template tags here. So template tags we have to use. So template tags we have to use here. So this will call it as a template tag. Okay. So templates tags are used in between HTML files, in between HTML tags. So there will give key. Key means in a dictionary will say no key value. So that key will give, or variable name will give. So key or variable name will show values from the server or will show values from the database. And here with template tags, we can use a template tag code also. So here we can write the statements. Okay, so template tag coding we can use here. This is called as a template tag coding. So template tag coding means we'll call it as Jinja 2, the next version of template tags. So here within the curly braces percentage symbol, here we can write code to access HTML files, CSS files, image files, and then we can write code to access media files, and we can write a code to access HTML file into another HTML file, and we can write code to access data from the database using for loop, if condition. All we can write with the template tag coding. Okay, so template tag code also is used in between HTML tags. Okay, so here we can create static pages and dynamic pages. So you will be learning both. Okay, so if the HTML file is having template tags, or if the HTML file is having template tag coding like Jinja 2 coding, then that the page is treated as a dynamic page. But in other server-side technologies, like HTML files separate, dynamic pages separate with different extension, but that we cannot see here. We cannot do that. Okay. So in internet, we are calling as a client system, server system. In the beginning, I've told no, client system is having browser, server system is having web server. Okay. So in my laptop, Python is there. Okay, Python 3.9.1 version I'm using, and in my system DJANGO is there. So DJANGO 3.4.1 we are using. Sorry. So 3.1.4 is there. Okay. So here I'm using this latest version 3.1.4 I'm using here. Okay. So like every time versions will change. Okay. So in this case, please don't have any doubt. I'll show you here. So in D drive, I will explain these commands later. I want to show the version here. Okay. So the version what I'm using. Okay, here you can see 3.1.4 I'm using in my system. So it is already installed. Okay, latest version only I'm using. So 3.1.4 is there. And here when we are working with the softwares here. So Python I'm using latest version, DJANGO latest version I'm using. So here web server also will be there, development server. Okay, web server means development web server, we can say browser is there. So in my system, everything is available. So my laptop will works as a 3-in-1. So 3-in-1 means it works as a development server, and it works as a production server, and it will works as a client. Okay, so in my system I can develop DJANGO websites using a Python and DJANGO. I can develop websites. So my laptop works as a development system or development server, and my laptop works as a production server. Production server means I can run the websites. Okay, I can check. Okay, and it works as a client because in my system browser is there. I can open the websites. My system is working as 3-in-1, like a development server, production server, and a client also. So I can develop the website, I can host the website in production server. All these I can do it. Okay, so while developing the websites, when I'm developing the websites, then we have to use web server. See, when you are working with only with the client side technologies, like the students, those who learn UI technologies or web technologies, students, those who learn HTML, JavaScript, CSS, jQuery, Bootstrap, all these, they will not use server. Okay, but when you are learning server side technologies, when you are learning any one of the backend technologies, so when you learn any backend technology, then web server is used. While learning, while practicing, while developing websites, we have to use web server. Not only in real time, not only in production, while learning, while practicing, then while developing websites, we have to use web server. For with server side technologies or with these backend technologies, we have to use it. We need to use. And here, when we see the history of this DJANGO here, so here when we see the history of DJANGO here, so DJANGO will call it as a backend web development framework. So it is a backend technology, or we can say framework. It works as backend, and here we are going to use HTML, Bootstrap, CSS, jQuery. All these we are going to use. So DJANGO is a free software, and it is open source. Okay, so we can see the Python files, and we can see what code they wrote, and if that code is customizable also. So we can do the changes according to our requirement. So that possibility is there. So Python is a free software. It is open source. Python is customizable. DJANGO framework means Python files only. The code can be customized. Okay. So here, when you are learning DJANGO, like you will be learning many chapters. You will be learning what modules are there, what functions to use. Okay. So when you are working on your first when you're working on the first project, like a live project or real-time project, whatever you learn, you will implement. But customization you cannot do from the beginning, because you should be expert in Python coding. If you're having 3-4 years experience, if you're working on live or real-time projects, if you're working on big domain, like banking, insurance, hotel, hospital, all these. Like if you are keep on working on DJANGO projects, then you'll become expert. You'll become a master, and you may be working as a software analyst in company. So in that case, what is going to happen? Like you can customize. Like you will be knowing what is missing in the modules, what is not there in the modules. Okay, so if it is not according to your project, you can customize it, and you can use it in the project. Presentation means I didn't understand what kind of PPT presentation. See, in demos, I'm using this. After that, I'll use a notepad. Notepad contains notes and examples. Only for demos, I'm using PowerPoint. Okay, for like notes and all, it is in notepad only. With the notes and examples, it will be there. And here, this is completely developed in Python. It is maintained by DJANGO Software Foundation. Like a Python Software Foundation, DJANGO Software Foundation is there. So this is also very large community. Many people, thousands of programmers or hundreds of programmers are working for this software. So this organization, this foundation, we can call it as a non-profitable, non-commercial organization, or we can say open source community. And here, when we are working with this DJANGO here, DJANGO works with design patterns. So while developing projects, while developing applications, many design patterns are there, and some are approved and some are successfully used in IT companies for developing websites. Okay, so when we are working with live projects or real-time projects, while developing the websites, while developing the code, when we are developing the websites, then they, while developing the uh, websites, okay, so while developing not only websites, any application, with the design patterns we can do the project, without design patterns we can do the project. Okay, so when students learns other courses, faculty may not tell about what is design pattern, how it works, all this. But in DJANGO we are going to discuss about what are design patterns, like how many are there, how they are going to work, what is the difference between using design pattern and without using design pattern, what is the difference. All these we are going to discuss, but today we will not discuss this because this is a separate concept. This we are going to discuss in tomorrow's class. We are going to discuss this because I have to tell in detail about the design patterns, what is a model view controller, where it is used. So in DJANGO we are using model view template. What is the use of each layer in model view template? Like all these we are going to discuss in detail. Okay, and here in DJANGO we are using MVT design pattern. About these design patterns, about MVC, MVT, tomorrow we are going to discuss that. And here when we are working with this DJANGO, like top 10 websites or applications in DJANGO only, like Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Washington Post, Big Bucket, Dropbox, Eventbrite, all these are in DJANGO. Python and DJANGO, many sites are there, like YouTube, Dropbox, Google, Quora, Instagram, Spotify, Reddit, then Yahoo Maps, Simmang, Pinterest, Onion, Discuss, Washington Post, NASA, Bitbucket, Reddit gives Prezi, Pitchfork, all these are there. All these are developed with Python and DJANGO. And here when we see the history of this DJANGO here, like DJANGO is introduced as an internal project at Lawrence Journal World News Publishers. Okay, so it is the news publishers, they want to have their news portal. Like now we are using the websites, news related sites. Like in 2003 they have used DJANGO as internal project, and they are providing clear documentation for every topic. Like in news publishers, there many people will be working with data, like authors, content writers, editors, many people will be there, so they'll be working on data only. Okay, so they are providing clear documentation, like for every concept chapter. Now also, like when we see djangoproject.com, they are providing a clear documentation here. So it is around 2000 pages. Okay, so the DJANGO documentation is having 2000 pages. Like reading 2000 pages, learning is very difficult. That's why I'm giving my notes. So with my notes, easily you can learn and you can practice the examples. You see, nowadays when we see electronic media or print media, like they're having their own websites. They are providing live TV, then important news they are publishing. All these they are able to do it. Those who cannot read a newspaper, those who don't have time to sit in front of the television and watching, they can open website and they can, whenever they have time, they can read the news. Okay, so here original version of DJANGO developed by Andrian Holoverty and Simon Willison. So these two people introduced DJANGO starting first version, original version. Okay, so this original version is introduced in 2005, July 21st. It is introduced, first version. Okay, after that many versions are introduced. Now the latest version is 3.1.4 is the latest version of DJANGO. So why they kept this name DJANGO is like Python is there. We know that Python name they took from the comedy show which is used to telecast in BBC channel many years back. Okay, like Monty Python Flying Circus is there. From that they took the name. And here this Django, or we are saying DJANGO. We can say Django or DJANGO. So this is the name of the famous guitarist. Okay, so like these two people are the fans of that guitarist, so they have named this software as DJANGO. If you want to know more about like this particular person, guitarist, you can check in Wikipedia. It will show the information. Okay, so here when we say about the like documentation and all in DJANGO project, we can see this. So djangoproject.com, here you can see documentation. In documentation, it will give the options here. You can see 3.1.4 is there. So here you can see documentation. Here you can see download DJANGO 3.1 HTML PDF is there, no? So here when we download, then it will be like 2000 pages will be there. So here you can see 2035 pages. So DJANGO Software Foundation is providing DJANGO material. You can, this is online. You can download and you can save. Offline also will work. Online, offline, we can use it. Okay. So learning, reading 2034 pages and updating means it is difficult. So here I am providing the complete notes here. Complete notes is there for every topic, so that you can follow my notes easily. And here when we say about DJANGO, I've told only what is DJANGO, what are the history I've told. And here DJANGO features are there, which are very, very important. So here you can see fast, fully loaded, security, and then scalability, versatile, all these are there. So to discuss all these, time is not enough. And all these we are going to discuss in tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's class, we are going to discuss about important 5 features. 5 important features. Many features are there. 5 important features we'll discuss. And after that, in tomorrow's class, I'll tell what is design pattern, then what is a model view controller, what is model view template, what is model, what is view, what is template. Then all these we'll see in detail clearly in tomorrow's class. After that, we'll see what is virtual environment, what is the need of creating virtual environment. All these we are going to discuss in tomorrow's demo. Okay, so if you want the recorded videos and if you want to have the notes, whatever I'm showing you here, so please talk to online team and register for this course. So once if you are registered for this course, then I can send you the recorded videos and I can send you the material, whatever I'm showing, so that you can practice. Okay, students? Any doubts to ask? Anything to ask, students? Any doubts? Okay, I'm stopping now. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue.